Scotties, a very good evening to you, and Dinky-Doo. It's just me, Scottie McClue, and we are, of course, live on the big one. Lovely to have you with us Saturday evening. Nothing gets past me, of course, and a very, very warm welcome. So good that you could come and join us. We're live big time, and we've got the new mic. Can I introduce the new mic? There we are. It's causing a little bit of a shadow at the moment, but there it is there. So we'll have that with us when we're wanting a wee bit of chit chat. How fantastic is that? Good evening, mein Capitan Topswahe. How are you? Were you with the Kriegsmarine? I tell you, how wonderful is that? So lovely to have you all with us. And welcome to our Saturday evening. Now, did you get the wee video at the start? That's what we want to know. Did you have the wee video from the start? There we are. And can you hear me all right? I tell you. Good evening, Scottie. Good evening, Susan. And hi to Topswahe. Of course, we like that. We chit-chat. Hi, how are you? We're Dinky-Doo. Can you say hello to Joe and Paul, who are watching from Cambuslang? Loud, whoa, hat and mustache time. I tell you, thank you to Jack Williams, for the hat and mustache. I did not see any wee video. Hey, this is not good enough. You need to check the YouTube channel. You need to check the Twitter, or X as it is now. There we are. Is the mic causing a shadow, guys? I'm just wondering if I should move it a little bit. How's that? Or that? That's right in front of my coupon. There we are. I'm with Leslie Ann and William watching. Brilliant, Sandy. Dinky-Doo, I'd say to you. Is it the Sheffield Radio one? Well, there we are. Well, it's very beautiful. I can tell you that. The mic was okay where it was. Is it all right, Tops? So there we go. Not causing a problem, I'd say to you. And nice and clear, good quality sound. That's what we like to hear as well. This was a wonderful gift by a very generous benefactor, and that just moves us on. As I say, there is a GoFundMe out there because we're not monetized on the YouTube at all. I can tell you hello from Arkansas in the USA. Ruby, you have to tell me if I'm pronouncing Arkansas properly, or Arkansas. There we have it. All good image and audio, says Tops. Tops, I trust your judgment. Greetings to Scottie of Scotland, says Scott Mass. Scottie, did you retire? Well, Matthew, I moved on, shall we say. There we are. Lovely microphone. The beautiful Melinda Lemon has joined us. Mwah, mwah, mwah. There you are. 3. So there you are. That's 3-0. I can't tell you. Fantastic. Yes, it is a beautiful piece of work, Melinda. It really is. Dinky-Doo. I tell you, how fantastic, Matthew. That's what it's all about, I say to you. Now then, what are we thinking of what's been happening in the world? The Pope's funeral, the Holy Father, the Papa. There we are, his funeral today. Although I must say, and please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm actually looking at the whole figures thing. And there was a huge boasting on the national broadcaster about 150,000 people had passed by the Papa's coffin and his body, his corpse, to pay their respect. And I thought, 150,000, that's kind of what I got per half hour listening on local radio. So half an hour of Scottie McClue is about the same as those who paid their respects to His Holiness. Isn't that interesting? It's just a comment. It's not vis-a-vis anything. Love and gratitude and Dinky-Doo, Scottie, from the mouth of the Pascagoula River. Have I said it properly, Melinda? You must keep me in order, I say to you. Hello from Alex and Maria. There we are from the UK. Fern, isn't that beautiful? Arkansas. Yes, so like Arkansas almost. I've got you, Arkansas. I can remember practicing for a play, and I said, Ilianos, Ilianos for Illinois. So I need to work on my American pronunciations. There we are. Oh, yes, absolutely. So there we are. Yes, Ruby, thank you very much. Hello from sunny Greenock, says George. Hello, Scottie. It's Chris from Scotland. I live in Hull, an ex-army gunner. We salute you, the Royal Artillery, sir. Yes, absolutely. On your feet, soldier. Fantastic. That's what it's all about, I say. And now, who else have we got here? Lots of great stuff. Clyde Electrics, Glasgow. How kind are you to Scottie McClue with your beautiful gifts? I thank you so much. Good evening, George. Lovely to have you with us. And DINKY-DOO, I say, from Scottie McClue. DINKY-DOO, Scottie, is Mark from Neilston. We love Neilston. What a fine part of the world that is. End of the line for the train. So there we are. Now, there's something in... I was very sorry to read yesterday of the passing of my old boss, the wonderful Alec, Chief Executive of Grampian Television, who appointed me in 1984. Isn't that amazing? 41 years ago. And he was a wonderful man, a very, very hard-working man for ITV. And I used to have a wee laugh with him. He was 104, I think. And I used to have a wee laugh with him. Or was it 102? I would say to him, sir, do you think I should be a chief executive of ITV when I'm older? And he went, yeah, you try it, boy. 70 hours a week. But he was such a lovely, approachable person for a big boss. And he really was a big boss. I mean, he went right back to the original Caledonian cinemas and things like that. They were wonderful people. Grampian Television in the northeast of Scotland. John Doe says, can you put your berry on? John Doe, that's not a berry. That's a Glengarry. I can see it hiding over there. I would need to go and get it, I tell you. You must have been about 3 years old in 1984, Scottie. Yes, Tups. I was a very, very young broadcaster. But what was so lovely about Mr. Mayor, he would come down when he'd finished work and he would sit in the studio and have a chat with me about things. And he would ask me questions way beyond my years. And I would try my best to give him an answer. Absolutely delightful. He would pop in and the controllers would say, can I help you, sir? And he'd say, just going to have a word with this man here. And he would pop in and sit down and I would say, hello, sir. And we would just sit and chat. One night I had a bag of sweets. He actually sat on them and said, I think you're sitting on my boilings, sir. And he said, oh, so we had a sweet each, I tell you. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Oh, I would think the king. Probably the king, but then hugely famous people, because they all popped in and out of television stations and radio stations, you know, and you would get to see them. I tell you, good audience figures. You didn't even have to die, Scottie. I know, Tops. I'm very fortunate, because I'm one of the living broadcasters that people are very kind to and acknowledge. So I don't know what will happen when I pop. You know, that's the whole thing. But maybe it will last as long as Alec did. And that's it. And make, I wish I could remember now, it's 103. There we go. Pope John Paul had over 1 million mourners waited to see him. Absolutely. Well, apparently it was 150,000 the other night. So they are, and remember, 2 billion people have heard of Scottie McClue. And I think there's 1.8 billion Catholics in the world. Is that right? So there we are. So it's interesting. I mean, this is not vis-a-vis anything. I'm just putting stuff into context. We had a very famous comedian in Scotland, and I was reading a book about him, and somebody said, oh, he could play in front of 18,000 people a week. And I thought, well, I had nudging 250,000 every half hour. You know, it's very, very interesting, very interesting. So there we are. Anyway, as I say, not visa, but they were the best audience figures in the country at the time. So there you go. A dinky-doo from the galaxy far, far away. I can. Are you talking Fife? There we are. Scottie, it's Gordon and Oliver here. You're looking and sounding well. Gordon, I've been given a new microphone. This is the kindness that is out there. You know, the YouTube channel is not monetized because we do the movies, and I think they would have to cough up. So it's not monetized. So I'm not monetized on there. So I don't get anything financially from it, but I get a lot of very beautiful people joining in, and we look at some great movies on there. So I tell you, yes, I did indeed, number two. Have you ever been to Newcastle? I've broadcast to Newcastle. I tell you, well, I actually broadcast from the other side of the river. Gateshead, man. Gateshead. There you go. So there we go. Numpty Head's late tonight. Oh, Susan, Numpty Head's terrible for tardiness. We need to pull him up. Hello from County Mayo. We love you in the County Mayo. You're not British if you've never been to Newcastle. Oh, I think there's been a lot of nationalities have been to Newcastle. There we are from Newcastle. I tell you, they used to do the Brunel. There we are. What station? It was called Century Radio. Century Radio, and it was just over the bridge at Gateshead, man. Gateshead. And I remember coming out late one Friday night, and Gateshead was in darkness, and I looked across, and Newcastle was lit up as bright as day. How's your week been, Scottie? Fantastic week. You know, I mean, I was sad to see that we've lost a pope. But like the royal family, we will have another pope very soon. I'm Italian. You said Sanctuary Radio. Century Radio, capital C-E-N-T-U-R-Y. Capisce? Capisce? See? Numpty Head isn't late. He's been here since the start, Susan. Numpty Head, keeping quiet. I think we should get you to report in, because you can be a wee bit of a slippery fish when it comes to timing. I tell you. Fantastic. George says good evening, good evening. George, lovely to have you with us. And DINKY-DOO. I tell you. Mad Frankie, there we are, a.k.a. the dentist. The Vatican will be ended soon. Well, I don't think so, because St. Peter set up his church. You know, upon this rock I shall build my church. What, a couple of thousand years ago. So I don't think it will be ending very soon at all. It might metamorphose. But, you know, I had to pull somebody up last night on social media, because they were saying, yes, let's look at Pope Francisco, see. Let's look at his track record. And this hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. That's not changed. Now, guys, nobody has ever said, this is me defending as if it ever needed it, Pope Francis's record here. There's nothing that says that the Roman Catholic Church and the Vatican is a vehicle for change. Why should it be? And the example I used was, people say, do you know they're still playing golf at the golf club? Is that right in this day and age? Do you know we've still got the monarchy in Britain after 2,350 years? Is that right in this day and age? It's 2025. We even had an MP up on his hind legs trying to change the Lord's spiritual in the House of Lords. You know, I say to you, what is going on? Telephone. Hello, you're live on Scotty's phone in. Who is that?
It's Numpty, Scotty.
Numpty. Now look here, where have you been? We worry about you, your tardiness.
Scotty, where do you think I'd be on a Saturday night at 9 o'clock?
Well, that's true, actually. I don't.
Wait, 1 minute past 9. That's what I do.
And was I not bang on tonight, Numpty?
Absolutely.
Now, and excuse me, as a generous benefactor to the show, what do you think of the new microphone?
Well, I'm waiting on the racing results.
Can you hear it all right?
But should you not be reading the racing results or the football?
The racing results. Look at the runners and riders now.
Or the football commentary.
Do you know, one of the best compliments I ever got was from a top professional. He said, you know, Scottie McClue could have any job in broadcasting. Is that not nice?
I know, Scotty.
And wait till I tell you this, Numpty. Does you know, I know, if you knew nothing about football, I would know quite a bit less, right? Now, no, and I mean, you know a lot, but I would know a lot less. But one night I had a script on ITV to read out about the football. It was Bobby Robson's team at the time. And I thought, right, we'll get this swanked up a wee bit. So anyway, I did my script. The next thing I've got people saying, would you consider being a commentator? And I said, well, I don't know anything about it. And you know the famous story when I said to the guy, he said, do you want to join us on Saturday in the commentary box? And I said, I know nothing about football. He said, oh, you'll fit in with the rest of us then.
You're fitting well.
Now, have you got a bone to pick, an axe to grind, a back to scratch?
No, I thought I'd have a decent conversation for a change.
Right, here's Scott's Queen saying to me, is this the Scottie McClue? Yes, it's the genuine one.
Right.
Yes.
Scotty, you're 6 minutes to fame by the shaking my hand at a video signing.
Oh, yes, I was. Yes, you plunged me into fame.
Indeed. And your agent gave me a funny look.
Oh, did he? Mind you, gave me a few funny looks as well. So I wouldn't read anything into that.
I think it was after my phone number. That was before I had a mobile phone. Yeah. Now, Scotty, listen. I've got a serious point.
Do you know when I was at Scott FM, I never had a mobile phone?
You would never find time to use it, Scotty. Plus, they came up when you were on Scott FM, it was 20p a minute to phone you on a mobile phone. That was cheap rate. It was 50p a minute deal rate. Just as well you're on at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, I'll tell you, Scott's Queen says right here, right now, used to listen to every night 20 years ago. Scotty, the phone in, I remember when you said everyone in Manchester was thick. I did not. I just implied there were some thick people. There's a lovely man from Tarbert Lochfine. How's it going tonight, Scotty boy? I'm on the Dukers.
Very good. Now, you have to get my point.
Your point. Yes, we're trying to get your point.
Now, just as well we're not married, because I wouldn't get a word done.
What have you done? Say that again.
I'm saying just as well me and you are not married, because I'd never get a word done.
Oh, you would have got a word in. I wouldn't want to interrupt you.
Well, listen, Scotty. You listen?
Oh, I'm listening. We're all listening. The world is listening.
I'm trying to have a serious discussion here.
Yes.
One that might take 10 minutes.
Yes.
Right. Can you remember section 28?
Yes.
Now, what was section 28 about, in case we've got people?
Well, I couldn't give you all the detail of it now off the top of my head because it's a while since I heard it.
No,
it was about gender, wasn't it?
Well, it was to stop the school teaching
it.
Sex ed.
Yes.
But for a different
Well,
sexuality?
no, I think it was to stop the schools teaching a certain type of sex education, because schools have always taught an element of sex education.
Well, some people see it as promoting homosexuality, Scotty.
Yes.
Well, now this is where my serious point comes in.
But wait a second, before you say a thing,
right?
Why on earth? What difference would promoting any kind of sexuality actually make to the numbers of extant people who practice that particular proclivity? See what I just did there?
Aye.
So if somebody is gay, then they're going to be gay. But you don't teach people to be gay if they're straight.
Correct.
You see?
Correct.
Am I right?
Aye, you're correct, Scotty. That's the first time I've told you you're correct.
The first time ever, 33 years.
But now, the serious part of my point is whether or not Section 28 was rescinded, do you think storytelling drags or whatever it's called, drag queen storytelling, do you think that would be going on today, and do you think that would have come under Section 28? Because I don't believe drag queens and homosexuality have any link whatsoever.
No, well, they don't. Although I have known one or two drag queens, professional, I hasten to add, professional drag queens who happened to be gay. There was one very famous one, and that sort of thing. But why would somebody want to be a drag queen apart from for entertainment purposes?
Well, that's what. Let's go. It was an entertainment.
Yes.
It was an entertainment for adults.
Yes.
Now, why are they teaching storytelling from drag queens? Why do they have to be drag queens? Why can they not be doctors and nurses or their parents read them a story for a change?
Well, absolutely, but I mean, there's bound to be. Well, because there's bound to be any kind of entertainment or communication, right? No, I beg your pardon? I'm speechless, did you say? Did I hear you right? Did I hear you right, Dr. Heed?
Right, Scotty, are you there now?
Did you tell me I was speechless?
Aye.
No.
That's because I couldn't hear nothing.
Well, that's your problem. That's your technical kit there. I was answering your question.
Well, I couldn't hear a word because my Bluetooth headset broke down and I've had to put you on the loudspeaker. Now I've got to check my windows, make sure they're shut, because I'm not having you bothering and shouting.
Well, you'll need to watch the windows. The Bradford Spaceman. There's Gers TV is asking me, Scotty, is the Bradford Spaceman still around? I haven't heard him for some time. Matthew, remember Matthew? You must remember him, Dr. Heed. The Bradford Spaceman.
Matthew?
Well, he wouldn't tell us. When I was down in Yorkshire, we got a call from Matthew from Bradford, and he wouldn't tell us what he did, so we had to assume he was a spaceman.
But I remembered Matthew for 5.
Oh, there's Matthew for 5.
No.
Great days, Scotty, the late 90s. Absolutely. There are more great days coming, by the way.
Right, Scotty, listen, I didn't hear what you said, but do you think that if Section 28 was or wasn't still around today, would that have anything to do with what they've brought in now?
And are you talking about the Supreme Court's decision on what is a woman?
Scotty, listen, I'm not debating that, because you do get drag queens who identify as men.
Yeah, well, is that not what a drag queen is?
Aye.
If they're in drag, is that not a man wearing women's clothing?
Indeed it is.
Right. Well, there we are. So you're not looking at what gender are they?
Are you trying to say that's a woman?
A drag queen?
Aye.
Certainly not. Or they wouldn't be a drag queen, they would be a woman.
There'll be six. There'll be six.
A mature adult fashion.
Absolutely.
So I don't, in answer to your question, I don't know the current status of Section 28, and I haven't looked at the bearing because I have so many other things to concentrate on. So it's not right at the top of my schedule.
No, but I do believe it was appealed, Scottie.
Appealed or repealed?
Repealed.
Repealed. Right. So Section 28 doesn't exist. So you're using up our very valuable time discussing it.
Well, it was you. You wouldn't shut up. I could have had this point over in 2 minutes, but you kept it going for 10 minutes.
No. I was asking you while you were sorting out your technical side.
That only took me 5 seconds to sort through. See, when something breaks down at your end, but didn't see you for the rest of the night.
Stick out your tongue and say ta-ta. Right, that's not to heat gone. Never heard so much nonsense in all my life. There we are. I think the whole point of Scottie McClue's show is that we don't get embroiled in all the stuff that you can pick up on what they call the mainstream media on virtually every single bulletin. I'm actually beginning to think it's almost worth giving the news the body swerve. So there you are. I tell you. Now that's the lovely McClue, the genuine article. Melinda, you are such a beautiful person. There we are. And, you know, we know this. Do you like a good cup of tea? It's my favorite drink. Now, you've just reminded me. We got carried away there. Time for a general sup. Now, guys, when I shout general sup, whatever you happen to be drinking between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, British summertime it is at the moment, UK time, we have a general sup. So everybody, cheers, let's sup. Sup, Scottie. That's lush. Oh, I do like a cup of tea. I have to say, Scottie, I'm trying to watch the boxing. Rab, we haven't time for the boxing. McClue's on. Do you know that when we were doing the radio, everybody shouted, get that telly off. McClue's on. It's 10 o'clock. Telly's off at 10. That's what it was all about in these days, I tell you. Numpty he does a quality collar, says Tupswahy. Well, Tupswahy, you should know about quality collars because you are one. Always contentious chat, always determined to cause a stushy. Or is it a rumpus? Or is it a stramash? Which is the more serious, guys? Does anybody know? So a stushy, a stramash, and a rumpus. Join my team. Fantastic. Thank you so much to you beautiful people. So there we go. Now then, I was at your show at Cumbernauld 30 years ago and got the vid. Oh dear, I don't think that was part of our service. Oh, it got the video. Sorry. Right, great night, says Howard. Wonderful, Howard. Lovely to hear from you. And a big dinky-doo, I say to you. Fantastic. You had me very worried, you know, absolutely, because a lot of people that night gave me the clap. You know, fantastic stuff. So there we go. Now, opinions on Fortnite. Well, Flipsin, can you play once a week? I tell you, can we play Fortnite once a week? I tell you, the old BBC Scotland football commentator. Yes, David. Yes, I remember Gordon. Fantastic. And do you remember the wonderful Jimmy Sanderson? Yes, that did the phone-ins on Radio Clyde. Yes, Hamza. Yes, indeed. Hi from Dunfermline in Scotland. Ah, isn't that beautiful? Dunfermline, fantastic. The king sits in Dunfermline Toon, former capital of Scotland. So there we go. Isn't this wonderful? My goodness me. Guys, I'm just looking. We've been on for 31 minutes. It seems like 5 seconds. I do not know. Now, very, very good news this week. I've just been seeing that a lot of the big radio stations have put themselves together and they've gone virtually national with their brands. Now, the downside of that, it's nice to have national brands in that, is that all these wonderful local radio stations are being faded out, disappearing. So there you are. So you don't have independent commercial local radio in the way that we had growing up, which was wonderful. I mean, what a blast. And no matter where you were, there were all these wonderful radio stations. And I grew up in that very competitive environment. I mean, when I was working in the northwest of England, we had 36 separate radio services, all vying for an audience. And needless to say, I cleaned up. Fantastic. And I clean up well. So there we are. So we had huge, huge audiences. But I've heard this week that Sheffield in South Yorkshire and its local station is disappearing, becoming part of a national brand, but there's a new local station on the block. So there we are. So look it up. Sheffield and South Yorkshire Essentials. New radio station. Digital, of course. Fantastic and very, very good. So I might be doing a bit of work with them as well. And the people of South Yorkshire are very keen to hear their old mate McClue. Now this will go loud, so don't panic. You're live on Scotty's phone. Who's that?
Guten Abend, mein Kapitän.
Guten Abend, mein Kriegsmarinefreund.
Listen, I can't speak any foreign language, and whenever I try, you always trump me. You come in and actually respond.
Nein, ich Deutsch sprechen. Ich bin ein Ausländer und ich verstehen.
Oh, now you're just showing off. The only German I actually know is from 1970s war comics. So
yes,
basically, Achtung, Johnny,
that's right.
The war is over.
Yes, there was Achtung, Johnny, for you the war is over, VOR, and then there was when it was Japanese, it was I.E. kill the dog.
Yeah, I love it. I
kill the dog.
I was more of a sci-fi nerd. So there's a comic that's still going called 2000 AD, despite it being 2025. There's a weekly published comic called 2000 AD. Yeah. And that's just amazing. So that was my thing in the 70s and 80s.
Well, I remember I used to spend my money. My parents made sure it was intellectual. It was called Look and Learn.
Oh, I remember that. That's the most. See, when I would get the Look and Learn annual for Christmas, yes. I bust out crying because it was so rubbish.
And the one for the younger people was Treasure. Now,
oh, I don't remember that.
Well, Treasure. Well, I'll tell you my problem. My problem was I got a shilling pocket money, 5p.
Oh, you were doing well.
Well, yes, but wait till I tell you this. Treasure was 11p. So you were left with 1 penny for a penny chew. So you just got the big McCowan's penny caramel, the penny dainty, and just souped a bit carefully for the afternoon.
Well, you're doing better than my father, who swore that all he got for Christmas was half a croon and a sugar mousse.
A sugar mousse.
All he got for Christmas.
Well, he did very well, because some people just got 2 shillings and a sugar mousse, and they got an orange and an apple to fill the stocking. And the doobly-doo. Do you know what a doobly-doo is?
A doobly-doo. Do you know? I've heard the word before, but I don't know what it is.
Well, you might have heard it from McClue, actually, because a doobly-doo, your dad stuck the inside of the lavy roll down the stocking, and when you pulled that out, you thought, what do I do with this? So you went, doobly-doo.
Oh my, yeah, I think it's
a doobly-doo. I got a doobly-doo for my Christmas.
Oh my God! And kids think they're hard done by.
I know the kids think that, but you know, we weren't hard done by. It's interesting. And my wee sister, she's my big sister, she wanted grapes and tablet. And you know, when she was about 3, so they gave her a bunch of grapes and tablet and stuff, and she ate the lot. I don't think she was very well for breakfast.
Well, you mentioned briefly earlier on today about avoiding the news. Now, I've always taken a keen interest in world events. But
well, I used to love putting on the news, stick the news on till we see what's happening. But I must be honest nowadays. Now, we'll not be saying anything against any particular broadcasters, because the platform doesn't like that, and they tend to chop it out. So we don't want that again. So what I was thinking was, as soon as you put it on, it's intentionally so depressing. Okay, fair enough. They're reporting what's happening in the world. There's a war going on. There's several wars going on. Yes. So they want to report that. But you can put your telly on almost at any time of the night and day. And the main subjects, whether it's a drama, whether it's real life, whether it's a discussion program, are to do with death, dying, killing, depression, mental illness, you know, fights, political fights over invasions, boat people coming in, all that sort of stuff. And you think, hang on a minute, we only get one life. Our lives are highly, highly valuable. And should we be spending our day, after we've put up with a pandemic, after we've put up with being kept in as near to poverty as they can make it over the years? I mean, you look at every single government, everything's great. Sorry, everything's terrible until the new party comes along, and they will tell you everything will be great when they get in. Then when they get in, oh, we've found a black hole. Oh, there's a wee depression going on. Oh, I'm afraid there'll be no money this side of Christmas. Oh, the old people will have to give up their heating allowance, you know, so that we can get some more billionaires. You see, all this, and people are just getting a wee bit fed up of being told how they're to live their lives. And it's all to condition you to do what you're told.
Exactly, Scottie.
You know, I thought we told you to do this, and you haven't done it. We told you to do that. Do you see what I mean? So, are all the laws been passed for our protection and for the enhancement of our life? Are we living in a land of milk and honey? Now, where Mr. Trump's been tremendously clever, because he is bordering on the genius, but where he's been tremendously clever, he said, you Americans are having a very tough time. And now that you've put me in here, I'm going to make sure that you have a nice time. 2 seconds, Taps. I'm just going to throw a wee midden.
No problem.
Out. I'm just going to block a wee midden.
I've told you before, I'll be the audio version of the Potter's Wheel when you have to do some
the Potter's Wheel. No, I'll tell you. Well, you know, I have to say, although I say it myself, I've been very impressed with some of the crises we've actually dealt with on air here. Can you see my beautiful new microphone?
Yes, it's very, very nice.
Can you hear a difference?
I mean, it's retro enough. It's brilliant.
Yes, oh no, we're very retro here, I'll tell you. But I wanted this hour on a Saturday night to be filled with as much joy, fun, and laughter as possible. And then Numpty Heat comes on.
Well, there's an old, it's a famous quote, and I can't remember who said it, but referring to newspapers, he said that good news writes in white, meaning that it's invisible. So there's no value in newspapers and news media reporting good news. It simply doesn't make financial sense.
Well, I think it didn't, but in actual fact, I think that market could change, because if you think about it with the right philosophy, you could pick up a paper, not that many people do now, but you could pick up a paper to cheer you up. And in actual fact, I worked with and for a very famous newspaper editor, I won't say. And he actually, I would have said, was responsible for keeping the British reading newspapers years after newspapers had probably passed their sell-by, if you'll pardon the pun. And because what actually happened was, when I was commuting on the train as a young worker, there were newspapers available at the station on a trust basis, and people genuinely paid up. You put your money in the box and took a paper, and there was the big papers. So you know the ones I'm talking about, the broadsheets, and there was the tabloids. And your top business people, I would say, there's Jimmy so-and-so, Jimmy runs such and such a bank or whatever. And they would be in the train beautifully dressed. I mean, really, have you ever seen The Crown?
No, I never watched it too. I don't want to diverge from you, Scott.
No, well,
I am very little interested in the royal family.
No, I know that, but just The Crown was such a blooming good watch.
I've heard that, and I do have a lot of time for Matt Smith. I think he's a brilliant actor.
Matt Smith, excellent.
I didn't really. I must confess, there's some, because I don't do social media at all. What happens is when I hear that there's something that you must watch this, it makes me actively not want to watch.
Oh, I know. If everybody's talking about a series, going, you've got to watch it. I don't watch it. Sometimes months later.
Yeah.
And then I'll come in and I'll go, oh, wow. And sometimes I've got to confess to having spent maybe a Sunday afternoon binge watching.
Yeah. I mean, the Crown is something that I've heard is extremely good.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there will be elements, pros and cons, but it's a blooming good watch. Let's put it that way. And the point I was going to make, though, it covers one of the old private secretaries, who'd served 4 monarchs, right? He'd been the secretary to George V and things like that, so he was quite a guy. And that was Tommy Lascelles. Yes, Tommy wasn't his actual name. He was trying to think what his actual name was, but he was just known by those and such as those as Tommy.
It was probably something like Gideon or something really.
He was right out the top drawer, but it was. I was trying to think Captain Lascelles, what his name was. Anyway, he was known as Tommy, and he's beautifully played by this magnificent actor. But what's interesting is the quality of the suits. The cut of the suits and the quality of the dress. So, the Queen's private secretary, beautifully turned out, immaculate in these suits, and the big moustache and all that, the military moustache, and what have you. And it was quite interesting because the more senior the private secretaries for a while, and there was 3, then the more junior they ranked in the army, in their army record. It was quite interesting. So when I was young, the Queen's private secretary was a very nice man, called Martin Charters, Martin Charteris, right? And he was of the Charters of East Lothian,
right,
Gosforth House and all the rest. Scottish gentleman, absolutely delightful man. But Martin was an older man then by that stage. But as a young man in the 50s, he was Colonel Charteris. That was his army rank. And his boss was Major Adine, right? Michael Adine. And his boss was Captain Lascelles. So you had the colonel underneath the major, underneath the captain.
Well, my surname, which obviously I'm not going to disclose on an open channel, but my surname is the same as somebody reasonably well known. And whenever anyone asks if I'm related, I always say, no, I'm from the Pollock branch of Pollock, by the way, for anyone listening who doesn't know what Pollock is, it's one of the original council housing
wonderful place. And my old friend, the Reverend James Curry, was your man for Pollock.
Well, that's where both my parents came from.
St. James's Pollock.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. A little bit of my sup just went down the wrong way.
Yes, you be careful. That's because you're supping and talking, and your epiglottis wasn't sure what you were doing.
Well, that is one thing that I've realised when I talk to you, Scottie. I think I should slow down a little bit.
Slow down.
Part of me still, every second, oh my God, I'm talking to Scottie McClue.
Scottie McClue! Well, Scottie McClue is about to go mega huge yet again. But that's it.
But saying,
yes.
Will you still have time for the little people?
Oh, listen, I never forget my roots. That's how I've lasted.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can still get an argy-bargy. People walk about, they go, how's that guy not got an knighthood? How's he not running something? I say, because there's too much nonsense going on.
Well, regarding honours and knighthoods, one of my favourite quotes is Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. When Mick Jagger got his knighthood, an interviewer, and he said this off the cuff, he hadn't prepared it. An interviewer on the television asked him, would you accept a knighthood? He said, I wouldn't let that family anywhere near me with a sword.
Well, I'll give you two lovely, quite genuine stories. Because they go back sufficient years to not really have any bearing on vis-a-vis anything. You see?
No names, no pack drill.
No names, no pack drill, dear boy. Anyway, it was a guy was offered an absolute top job. And he said to his wife, quite often these guys wait for the wife to come in, you know. And he said to the wife, do you think I should take that? And she said, oh, for goodness sake, take it. Or they'll only get somebody worse. And then the other lovely one was a very senior Labour lady was in our house doing our cleaning with the marigolds on, you know. And the phone went, and it was, I think, the Central Chancery of the Orders of Knighthood or something like that, or the Civil Service. And they asked, was her husband available? And she said, no, he's out at the moment. And she said, can I pass on a message? And he said, well, it's quite a personal matter, actually. He said, well, I think you could tell me. We've been married for 43 years or something, you see. So he said, well, we were going to ask your husband if he would accept a life peerage. You know, and she said, oh, I very much doubt it, but I'll get him to call you back. Right? They then rang her later and said, and just having spoken to this morning, would you be at all interested in one?
Let me tell you, Scottie, if anybody offered me anything, I would debase myself. I will, just in case the Lord's Appointment Committee is listening, yes, I will take anything.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, it's absolutely, it's very, very interesting. But people laugh at me. They go, "You'll not be getting your period, Scotty, so you didn't go defending the monarchy." I don't think it's anything to do with that at all.
No. It's personal enrichment I'm looking at.
Personal enrichment, yeah. But you see, we are, you and I, Tups, right? Now, I know nothing about your financial arrangements, and you'll know even less about mine. And the thing is that that's nothing to do with having a rich life. See what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel more enriched than having a good quality chat with your good self, and that's the truth of it.
That's why I come on every Saturday night. It's so much fun.
Well, of course, because we've had a look at the news and think, don't fancy that. Back to McClue.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I mentioned it very briefly last week. I've got an idea. It relates to the movies that you post right now.
Oh, yes.
I got a little bit of cold feet because I don't want to come across as a crazy man, but I've composed a message, and Mrs. Tupsway will personal message you on YouTube, I presume. Sorry, not YouTube. Facebook.
We'll try the Facebook. I'll tell you what we're in the process of doing, and I don't think it's up and running as yet. I'll need to speak to the webmaster, but the Scottie McClue website, www.scottie-mcclue.com, has got a contact on that. And if you can give it a few days, I think we'll find. We were having a problem with, have you had any email recently? I said, surprisingly, no. Have people gone off me? He said, no. He said, I think you've got problems. So we sorted that today. And that should be coming through.
Well, there's no desperate rush, but it's an idea I've had. So I'll wait. By the way, I must confess, months ago I sent, it was a link to a YouTube clip about the Glasgow Underground. I sent it to you ages ago. So don't worry about that. That's not what you might get two messages, one from me personally. But I'll give it, there's no rush. It's just an idea I had. There might be a laugh. It might be fun. So I'll wait, and once it's set up, next time I talk to you, I'll check if it's set up. Then I can send you and by myself. I don't need to use my wife as some.
No, you do not. No, you can manage yourself. Yes, I won't judge you.
I would like to think so, but see in reality,
I won't be able to offer you a life period. I'm afraid it's not within my gift.
That's not in your purview.
I'll say to Mrs. Tups, we're here. If he's not in, would you like one?
Lady Tups. No, I think as we know, she's got a criminal record for being an environmental protester. Actually, she doesn't have a criminal record.
Of course not. You better not. You'll catch it now, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll be getting a wee bit of cold tongue pie for supper.
Can I just tell you, do you have time just for a very brief story?
Yes, very brief. We've only got about 5 minutes, so.
Right, okay. We went on a honeymoon to California in 2007, and I am a good boy. I have never been in trouble at all whatsoever. Right. But the Homeland Security guys are little Nazis, I'm telling you, right? So we arrived in America. And this guy is literally screaming, this Homeland Security guy at the arrivals. And he yells, do you guys not understand English? And I felt like pointing out to him, well, the flight came from Schiphol in Amsterdam, so probably a lot of people don't speak English. Anyway, we get to this, and there's 9 gates. It's in Minneapolis, en route to Los Angeles. And I asked the guy which gate I should be in. And he said, what do you do? And it's some absolutely rubbish sales tactic that they teach, high pressure salespeople to put you off balance. And I was a PI at the time, so I said to him, I'm a private investigator. And he literally ticked my landing card, right? And of course, when we get to the front of the queue, I am hauled over for an interview with these guys, right? And he says, have you ever been in trouble with the police? And I said, no. And he went, oh, really? And the irony is that Mrs. Tuxley, she's the environmental protester. She's the one that unfurled the banner from the ANC and from the finishing crane. And you know, for a moment I thought I'd just dobbing her in, you know. But, you know, sure enough, it was, the guy went away and he said he was looking up my records. What he was doing was a Google search, right? So we got in anyway, but that's apropos of what you were talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, we landed one time from Portugal. I've been to Portugal, and I came in, and of course we got the trolley with the squeaky wheel. So I'm going along looking at it, and somebody said, "Now, Scotty, don't start any of your nonsense with the customs because they won't get it and they won't like it and all that." I said, "Right, okay, fair enough."
Yeah, they don't have a sense of humour.
No, well, not about all that. So anyway, we're along with the squeaky wheel, and I'm nodding and putting my eyes up at the customs guy, and he beckons us, "Come here." So I'm over and the rest of it, and he says, "Where have you come from?" I says, "I've come from there, round there. Do you have anything on you?" Now, I've never, ever even tried to get away with a bus ticket, right?
Yeah.
So, because I just couldn't be bothered with the worry. So I said, "No, we've got nothing." "And do you have cigarettes?" And so I had a good look in the case, you know, and there's a week's worth of undies, you know. And he goes, "Right, fair enough." And then his pal comes up and he goes, "Are you having trouble with this fella?" I went, "Well, he looked a bit strange, right?" He said, "No, he seems to be all right." He said, "You do know who you've got, don't you? The boy off the telly." And he goes, "God, I thought I knew your face."
Oh, absolutely awesome. Well, I'll let you go, Scotty, right? But
lovely to hear you, Tops, and a big dinky-doo to you.
Take care, man. See ya.
Ta-la-la-la. There we are. That's our Tops. A fine fellow. Now, guys, busy. Still as great as you were in the 90s, says Angela. Bless you, Angela. What a lovely thing to say. Do you remember Simon Templar? Oh, aye, the saint, the Templars. Blame the technology, says John Doe. This enriches me as well, says the beautiful Melinda Lemon. They're so interesting, says Janet. Sir Scottie FLOTI, says Janet. Yes, First Lord of the Internet. Good evening, sir. Neil O'Gormley, good evening to you, sir. John Doe. 12:11 for Higgins at the moment. Been a great show tonight, says Susan. Susan, I'm so glad you've enjoyed it. If any of you have enjoyed it as much as I have, I tell you, what a wonderful, wonderful show. Are you still game fan? Ruby. I was apparently the original inspiration for Still Game. What about that then? Good night, dearest boy. Good night, my dearest friend, my beautiful American lady. There we are. I say to you, Dinky-Doo, from the mouth of the river. Fantastic. Fantastic. And from my mouth as well, of course. Good night, all. Good night. And take great care of your dear selves. Guys, it's been such a beautiful show tonight. What a blast. I'll sing you the goodbye song. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Take care, everybody, as you go. Goodbye, everybody. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. And cheerio. Good night, you beautiful, beautiful people. Ta-ra, lads. Watch this back on your telly. God bless all, says Janet. Groundbreaking stuff, says John Doe. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed my name drivel. Tups, we love it. Cheerio, Melinda. And bless you and lots of love. Have to go. Whoa.